The first coral ever in the fish cave is finally here from Top Shelf Aquatics, and they're going into the PNW custom quarantine tank today. You ready? Let's go. I feel like a kid in a candy shop, baby. What's in this box? I see my bro Blaine. Hey, I know that dude. Brother Blaine on YouTube. Make sure you check out Top Shelf Aquatics YouTube channel. Little list right here of everything I ordered, but we don't need to see pictures. We're gonna see it live. Acclimation quick tips. I like this. So check this out. Dipping, super important, which we are doing today. Use your preferred dip. Coral RX, Revive, or Reef Dip. 2 of which I am actually gonna use today. Ooh. All right, I see some goodies here. This looks like some Benereef pellets, and we got some copepods. Copepods and the first coral are all here together. Okay, very good shipping, I see, because they didn't want the copepods to leak out of the bottle. And in our first coral, we have the pinwheel Duncan coral. I like the instructions right on the bag. It takes medium light, medium flow. If you have any questions, call Blaine directly. That's not really his cell phone number though. Just like fish, they need to be temperature acclimated as well before we do anything else. So let's get them all out of here. Okay, here we got a blue torch coral. Oh, look at that, I see it. Ooh, pretty. That's bigger than I thought it was gonna be. Then we got us a Wolverine Favia. I think I got about 2 Favias total in this box. They're not very bright right now, obviously. They're in the shipping bag. We're gonna get them nice and colorful soon. Now we got a Christmas Favia. That's the second Favia. Can't really see too much. We'll get them floated. South Beach Cyphastria. I think this is the one and only Cyphastria I have. Get him in there. Oh, we got a lot in here. Zoanthid, King Midas Zoanthid, Bam Bam Zoanthid, Super Saiyan Zoanthid. I like this one. This was probably the favorite one that I picked out. Circus Freak Zoanthid. Yes, I did get a lot of Zoas, guys, because I'm starting out with the easy and the hardy softies while I learn some more and grow some more. Now we got the Blue Eye Star Polyp. I'm hoping these guys get good. Then we have a Gatorade Zoa, looking kind of weird. Smurfette Zoa, little blue and yellowish kind of Zoa, I think, if I remember correctly. And last but not least, we have, ooh, the very well-known pulsing Xenia, and it already looks really big. The pulsing Xenia that everyone says not to get because they spread all over your tank. Yeah, I got one anyway. Now, while you see all these bags floating in my display tank with the light on, I did get a pretty good tip of precaution from one of you, the audience members. Suggested that when you do temperature acclimate your coral, you should do it in your sump where it's dark. That way you can prevent the possibility of your new coral getting burnt or bleached. Luckily for me, that wasn't the case, and this is a good time to remind you guys to stick to the very end of the video where I'm going to actually show what the coral looked like in quarantine the day after this dip was completed. I'll be using Seachem's Reef Dip and Coral RX to dip these brand new corals, along with multiple containers of clean salt water, along with my coral fragging kit, which I'm not going to use really too much, but it's good to just have it. Don't worry, I'll have links to everything you see here in the description below. Now it's time to level up and do something I've never done before. Let's go. So first we're going to start with Coral RX. I got a one-time use pack because this LFS didn't have anything else. That's going to go right into this gallon of salt water. Then we're also going to mix Seachem's Reef Dip into this gallon of salt water. And here we have fresh salt water to rinse out all the dip before the coral go into the quarantine tank. Here we go. By the way, I am wearing gloves, which is a good thing to do, but you should also wear goggles, face protection when you do this. I forgot, and I didn't have the time to run out and get some, so don't do what I do, guys. Just do what I say. There has been some horror stories of people getting splattered in the eye, some toxins. You forget you're dealing with stuff and you touch your eye with your hand and stuff happens. Now, before I mix this, because I don't really have, I do. I'm gonna use my thing here, but I'm also gonna do Reef Dip, which says, you're gonna read the instructions on whatever kind of dip you use, but Reef Dip says 5 to 10 milliliters, which is 1 to 2 capfuls of Reef Dip for every 1 gallon of water, which we got right here. We're gonna do just 1 capful because this is my first time ever actually dipping coral. and I don't want to overdose or do anything too much, so 1 capful is going to be good enough for now. The beautiful thing with dipping corals is that if it doesn't work out the first time around, in a couple of days, you can always re-dip them again if you still find stuff on your coral. So I'm going to use my turkey baster here just to mix up the Coral RX. Make sure it's nice and mixed here. And I'm also going to mix up the reef dip. Now, mind you guys that this method that I'm doing here, dipping these corals, is one of many, many different methods for dipping coral. As I did my research, I read some articles, I watched some videos. Not a single one of them had the exact same procedure for dipping your coral. So pick the one that you feel you're most comfortable with using, with doing. I'm going with Coral RX, and then I'm going with the reef dip as a kind of prophylactic antiseptic, which also is a treatment in case anything is on the coral already. But some people also use a 3rd type of dip or a 4th type of dip. Some people use hydrogen peroxide. Some people use fresh water as a dip. It really depends on what you're comfortable with. Now, Coral RX says to keep your coral in here for 5 minutes in the solution, and Reef Dip says 15 to 30 minutes. So what we're gonna do is 5 and 15. I'm not gonna expose these corals to any more than they need necessarily. And if I have to re-dip them in a couple of days, I'll do that as well. First time, so I'm learning with you guys. Here we go. You guys can't see it, but I got my bucket right here in the floor where I'm going to pop these bags and pull the corals out. Very first coral I grabbed is the Pinwheel Duncan. Check him out. All right. Guys, believe it or not, this is the first coral I've ever actually handled in my hand. That I've ever actually held in my hand. The Pinwheel Duncan. I will never forget you, buddy. All right, I'm gonna start the 5 minutes with this guy right now. Hey Siri, timer, 5 minutes. Now what I'm doing, since I'm reaching into the tank to get these coral, I'm gonna reach in with my right hand and only place the coral into the dip with my left hand so I don't cross-contaminate the dip into the tank, you know what I mean? If I didn't do that from the beginning, I'm doing it now. Bam, bam, zoantid. Only left hand going into the dip. I didn't think these bags were gonna sink to the bottom, so I'll have an armful of wetness right here. It's all good. Wolverine Favia in the building. That is not the color that it's supposed to be, so I don't think these guys are happy, which is typically normal. They just came in a dark box overnight, being shipped. Did I just put that in with my right hand? I did. I'm gonna go wash my hands. I'll be right back. Look, a little bit of dip in your tank isn't gonna do anything crazy, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. So, new gloves, new hands, and I'm going to change my method up a little bit. I'm gonna grab all these bags out of the tank, get them into this bucket here so that I'm no longer putting my hands into the tank. Oh. Who's this guy? I'm gonna have to remember this guy. Super Saiyan, my favorite Uzoa. All right, I'm soaked now. But now we won't have to put our hands back in the tank. Now the 5 minutes is up on these guys, so I'm gonna take the first one out, put them into the next dip. That one is 15 to 30. So, hey Siri, timer, 15 minutes. One by one, as I add one, I'll take another one out. So they're each in there for about 5 minutes. Is it a foolproof system that it's exactly 5 minutes on the dot? No, we'll be all right. Christmas Favia. No color, but we're gonna fix that. One in, one out. Blue Eye Star Polyp. You transfer over here, bomb buddy. Smurfette Zoa. Brother, ooh, what's that? I don't know, but it's going in the dip. Why do I feel like Walter White? This pulsing Xenia does not look happy at all. At all. We'll see what happens. Here comes a good one. My blue torch. Very first torch. I'm scared to touch it. Don't ask me what any of these names are at this point. Without the labels, I have no idea what I'm looking at. I can tell that these are zoanthids, but I just don't know which one is which. So the reason I keep showing you these colorless corals now is so that one, you won't be discouraged when you get yours looking like this, and 2, so that I can shock you at the end of the video when you see how these turn up. Now, another thing to do while they're in this dip is to try and blow some stuff off of them. See if anything that's attached to them, any kind of pests or hitchhikers is on them, you can blow them off of the coral. Some of you might wonder why there isn't any heater in this water and might assume that the temperature of this water is going to drop because it's been at this table for so long. I don't keep a heater in my saltwater tank back there because this room's temperature has a problem of staying at 78. It's usually too high. So there's no way this water is gonna drop below 78 if the temperature in this room is always higher than that. But normally, in any other case, if you got this many coral at one time and this process was gonna take this long, you might wanna add a heater into these dipping containers to keep the water at 78 degrees. All right, time's up. We're gonna get these guys out of this dip, give them one more good soak into the fresh salt water and get them into the quarantine tank. You do wanna give them a good look just in case you see anything obvious. I have yet to use my toolkit, but I just wanna see from the research I've done, it's the plug that can typically carry some stuff that you don't want in your tank. So what I'm doing is just focusing on the plug and making sure nothing weird is on there. After removing all your coral from one of the dip trays, what you'll want to do is inspect that water and see if you could spot anything that came off of those corals. And I don't see much. There's a couple of specks here. That right there. One more speck right there. Something else right there. Maybe 3 or 4 little things. I don't see them moving as if they were alive, like some kind of living pest, which is a good sign that you're getting corals from a good place like Top Shelf Aquatics. If you're doing a second dip, you're gonna wanna do that in your second dip tray as well. I don't see much of anything in this water right now, but we'll see when the 15 minutes is up and we start pulling these guys out. We'll give them one more vigorous shake before taking them out of this dip, and then they'll go into the clean salt water right here before they go into quarantine. Pulsing Xenia. I'd love to see these guys pulsing before the end of this video. That would be super cool if it did that. This guy doesn't look too happy, so I'm gonna get him out of here. My torch right here, which is one I'm really liking right now, probably because it's just the biggest one. I saw what it looked like when it was opened up, and it looked really good. And now it's not open, so let's get it into some comfort. Let's put this guy. He needs more light, I think, than anybody else, so I believe he needs more light than anybody else, so I'll put him right in the middle, directly under the light. Remember that all these corals I got today in this one shipment was 1 month's worth of credits in the Build Your Reef membership program over at Top Shelf Aquatics. This to me is a no-brainer. One of the best ways to start your saltwater reef tank is by joining this membership, so you don't have to buy them one by one at a time. You can use your monthly credits and get whatever you want. And remember that if you don't use them that month, they roll over into the next month. You could get something a little bit more expensive, which is my plan for next month. Here are all the coral in the quarantine tank, but they still look kind of sad. Only for about 5 minutes. Look at some of these guys coloring up. Look at that. Look at that Zoa. That looks like the Super Saiyan to me. I'm not sure. These guys, there's the torch. Look at the torch starting to open up. I see some green right here on that Zoa. These guys are coloring up already after only a few minutes in the quarantine with nice little 5-watt light. And they all look even better from the top down. Look at the color. Are these pulsing Xenia actually pulsing? I don't know, you tell me guys. Check out the Bam Bams right there. Look at what they're supposed to look like. Bam Bams. I got Bam Bams, baby. So check out the image of the South Beach Cyphastria, right? And I believe it's this guy right here. Look at that, starting to look good. I love that Top Shelf sends you this paper with images of the coral that you ordered. Another thing, now that I got this many corals, there's no way I'm gonna remember all of these names and what they're all supposed to look like. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna input each one and their individual photos into the AquaBuilder app, so I always remember the exact species of coral that I have, their exact name, what they're supposed to look like, and that way I will never forget it. Look at that color starting to creep out of the Favia. I love it. It's literally been like 5 minutes, guys. That's a good sign. I'm very happy to see that. I wonder what they're gonna look like tomorrow. We don't need to wonder because tomorrow is here. Look at these studs. Look at that Duncan in the back, wide open. Looking excellent, all open and colored up. Check out that Xenia reaching for the sky. And of course, the torch looking like a boss. 24 hours later, guys, 1 day. Look at that green, look at that purple, look at that. Look at that Smurf right there next to the torch, looking good. I can't believe it. 1 day later, these guys are on fire. Absolute fire. Love it. The first ever coral in the fish cave are safe and sound. If you want to check them out, how they are after quarantine, when they go into the main display, you're going to want to check out that video right there. And if you're new to saltwater, make sure you check out my beginner series. Straight to the point, very simple. Trust me, you could do it. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. See you on the other side. Peace.